on, what was your kind of next? What were your next thoughts on like different things to
I
shoot that
think
600?
to reach the 600 level, you're shooting 70 meters. You need a quality arrow.
Okay.
And not only you need a quality arrow that's matched to you. When we're trying to reach this performance level at that distance, we can't have a bottom of the range arrow. We can't have an arrow that's two sizes too stiff, because all of those things will just take points away and stop you progressing. And if you really want to get 600, I'll be frank here, I'm not sponsored by them, although I used to be. It's time to go buy some Eastern arrows, really, especially with a recurve. I don't really see many other options out there when it comes to true recurve performance. It's time to go
Agreed.
get yourself some ACEs, some X10s, and actually have them tuned. And it's time to maximize your arrow performance, because it makes a difference.
Yeah, and having those good quality arrows. I was trying to think when you said that. I would agree. ACEs, X10s. I think you maybe could with ACCs. I'm not sure if they still make those actually, but I don't think
We've got
quite.
X10
If
Parallel
someone,
Pros. Are they
yeah,
less than ACEs? I think they're less
I
cost than
think
ACEs.
I think so. So I think those three arrows are like a good kind of ballpark. And I know there's going to be people in the comments being like, "Well, we can't spend that much on arrows."
I
You
know.
kind of need to.
Then
It's
then
the
I would get some
truth.
second-hand ones. I would take
Yeah,
some second-hand quality arrows over some brand new arrows. And we'll
every
make
day of the
another
week.
video on what type of quality we're talking about. But really, with a recurve, you need consistent spine over the 360 degrees. And in our scientific experience, the Eastern ones really are the best.
Yeah, this is a great point. Maybe we could do a video on that, on how to buy second-hand arrows, because I've said this a couple of times to my audience and said, yeah, I'd much rather you go on eBay and get a set of X10s than a brand new set of like, I don't know, VAPs or whatever they are, like all these different arrows, because they're just going to be so much better. But the resistance people have is like, what if they're cracked? What if they're this? How do I know if they're straight or bent? But actually you can tell pretty much instantly once you've got them and maybe
Hmm?
like shot them once. So yeah, maybe that's a future video we can do on that as well.
Sounds good. But yeah, I think if you're trying to get 600, you have to just make that commitment and that focus, because we can't afford to have bad arrow flight anymore.
No, no, especially at 70 meters. Nice. And that brings me on to kind of my next one, which is again a bit more, I guess, technique based, which is often there will be an archer that comes to me and says, why am I not shooting that well? My technique looks decent. And then I watch other people shoot and their technique doesn't look that good, but they're shooting 50, 60, 100 points more than me. Like, what on earth is going on? And typically this will be someone that maybe has like a good technique, they're fairly upright, their full draw position looks quite good, generally looks okay. But the crucial thing that the other person is doing, regardless of what their technique is a consistent expansion. This is the thing that I think people don't focus on enough, because it's so small and so difficult to see. But even if you've got someone with their elbow way out here and their both shoulders a bit up here, but they expand through the clicker the same way every time, it's
Yeah.
going to be a better result, because they're pulling through the same way, which is going to then translate, likely, not always, but into their release. So
Consistency wins.
yeah, exactly. And there was something you said about actually about consistent technique, that you mentioned earlier before we were recording as well. If you want to
Yeah,
share
I
that.
said I often have people forget that the whole reason we tune a bow and we try and have good technique, the only reason we're doing that is we're trying to make ourselves, that when we make a mistake, that our setup is as forgiving as possible, so we get the highest possible score when we make a mistake. If we're not going to make mistakes, you can shoot however you want, and it doesn't matter, because if you do the same thing every time, science tells us you do the same thing, you will get the same outcome. You will have 10 after 10 as long as you set your sight. But everything we do on tuning and everything we do to do with shooting technique is making it so that when we make a mistake, the arrow goes as close to the middle as possible. And I think we have to sort of remind people, forget about that, why we're trying. What do we mean by good alignment? What do we mean by a good release? We basically
Yeah.
mean the type of technique that's been proven to build a forgiving shot. So when you make a mistake, you basically get a 9 instead of a 6. And that's what everything we do is about. Because if you're not going to make mistakes, shoot how you like.
Yeah, go for it. Because you might have, oh, I've got perfect full draw, alignment looks good, but I'm in such a stretched out position that I haven't got any room to expand anywhere. And then
Yeah.
one shot you expand like this, and then one shot you expand like this, and then that's just, yeah, recipe for disaster. So if anyone watching thinks that this might be them, I'd suggest really think about how you're expanding and deliberately have a cue and see how that works for you. Like, okay, how am I
Yeah.
going to pull through the clicker? Try that, see if you can do it consistently, and if you can't do it consistently, maybe try a different method. And then obviously working with a coach or someone at your club or something like that we mentioned before as well.
No, solid advice.
Quickly, if you're enjoying this video, you're going to love the 3 things I want to mention to you right now. So first of all, if you haven't already, you need to check out onlinearcheryacademy.com, which is my free website where you can go, and there's basically technique guides, training guides, equipment guides, how to tune your bow, loads of stuff on there completely free. You can also put your email address in to get my free weekly newsletter. Over 8,000 archers worldwide read this, where I send tips that you can't get anywhere else. Maybe equipment tips, mental tips, training tips, stuff about competitions, everything in there. Also, if you haven't already checked out my Online Archery Academy video courses, what are you doing? What are you doing with your life? You need to check them out. You can go to onlinearcheryacademy.com, click explore the courses, or you can go directly to courses.onlinearcheryacademy.com. There is currently, and I say currently, a beginner's course here that you can see, an advanced recurve technique course as well that you should check out, and eventually, very soon, there's going to be a tuning course as well. So if you haven't checked those out already, you can go there and have a look there. There's sections where you can basically see every single thing that I cover, which is a lot. There's a lot covered. This is the most comprehensive course on recurve technique in the world. I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any course that comes anywhere near this in terms of the detail that I go through every single stage of the shot, of your technique, how to troubleshoot those areas as well, how to train them, and I offer a money back guarantee with that as well. Finally, the last thing I want to mention, if you haven't already, go to members.onlinearcheryacademy.com, or you can go to onlinearcheryacademy.com and click become a member, and there you can join my membership, which is just £3.99 a month, to basically get exclusive access to me and loads of equipment advice, technique advice, free videos, Q&As, that kind of thing. So after this video, I'm going to record some more information in here on Q&As that people have sent in, technique things that maybe aren't as suitable for YouTube because they're just not going to get the views, that sort of stuff. This insider access is in the community, and you can see all organized in a really nice way. You also get my newsletter archive of all of those previous newsletters that I mentioned. You can access in here as well. So there's loads of stuff. Check it out. And now back to the video. Yeah. So what was your kind of final one on that topic as well that you were thinking about?
Again, it was interesting to sit down and think about not winning the Olympics, thinking about hitting that 600 level. And we do a lot of videos talking about what bow poundage is best. And we're always thinking about what it takes to be world champion. That's just the world we come from. But if you're actually asking the question what it takes to get 600, the number one thing is having the bow weight that matches your strength, a bow weight that you can control. You'd be much better off shooting 36 pounds that you can fully control than shooting 40 pounds that you're struggling with. So what do I mean by you can fully control? I mean you can hold the bow at full draw for 30 seconds, or we have that other strength test where you hold it full draw for 7 seconds, down here for 3 seconds, back for 7 seconds. Something where you can repeat that like 5, 6, 7 times without collapsing. And having that bow that you can manage, a bow you can control, even if it's a bit lighter, that's what's going to deliver you that 600 level.
Because that's a good point, because yeah, you don't need a massive poundage to shoot 600. You could do it, I'm trying to think of a lower end here, but 33, 34 pounds maybe, you could probably shoot a 600 on a fairly calm day.
Yeah, it depends on the size of your head and lots of factors, but yes, it's surprisingly low. And yet, I want to be clear, me and Ash don't think you're going to go and win the Olympics with 33 pounds. No. But we're not talking about that today. Today, we're talking about how does the intermediate club archer get that first 600.
And once you get that 600 with hopefully decent technique, maybe then you're going to get the bug a little bit more and go up, train a bit more, not have any injuries, which would be preferable, and that way you can progress. Because that's definitely going to help you on those days when you need to really control what you're doing in the competition.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So that kind of brings us on to the final point, which similar to the expansion that I mentioned before, but the kind of final tip I want to give people about how to shoot a 600 is making sure they have an assertive, sometimes I call it aggressive, assertive, or whatever the word you want to use is, but an assertive release. Because a lot of people following on from the expansion, they kind of just lose, they think the release, or they've heard the release needs to be relaxed, so they kind of lose a little bit of the punchiness on the release, and they don't want to kind of like over egg it, but actually they then end up collapsing a little bit and causing this variation. So again, this is where it's helpful to have someone else watch, or you can take a video of yourself shooting. But as a very general rule, if I kind of just demo here, if you're looking at your release and it kind of looks like this, and it's kind of smooth and soft and relaxed, that's good for Kim Woo-jin and good for someone like Kim Woo-jin or Brady who's shot millions and millions of arrows. But chances are, if you're a beginner, intermediate, or even like a regional or national level archer, you kind of want your release to look a little bit more like this, and you want it to be snappy, so you're not going to collapse, because that's going to give you this tighter grouping. And this kind of is similar to your executioner
we talked about
kind of
last week.
experience.
And I had someone this week ask me, when I get a new student and they send me the videos, what are the things I'm dreading to see? And for me, it's the soft release, because it's costing them. In some ways, it makes it simple. We've got one thing to work on, but it's quite a hard thing to fix when you've let it go really soft for years and years. It can be quite a challenge to fix it. But I always feel like if they've got direction and speed, then I feel like we can make a champion here. You know?
Yeah. And I remember actually that brings me on to, I asked Kim Woo-jin a while ago, he did some tips for my community back in maybe 2023. And I asked him about release and the expansion and that kind of thing. And his kind of, I'm going to butcher this a little bit, but his quote generally was, you have to learn how to release the string with a light poundage first to learn the correct thing to do.
Okay.
Only then can you then increase your poundage. So he was talking about, beginning archery, that kind of thing, because he's saying like if the poundage is too high, you have too much tension in your hand and it's impossible to do a good release. And this just talks to what you were saying about the poundage earlier, because much rather you do that good release with 36 pounds. In 5 years' time, you might get to 40 pounds or 41 pounds. That's great. Learn the release first and then migrate your poundage later.
No, I think that all sounds like solid advice.
Yeah. Awesome. This has been really good. Thank you again, Mike, for joining me. And hopefully you guys have had some kind of good tips from this as well. I'd be interested in the comments. Mike and I were thinking of doing a Q&A maybe next week or at some point in the future. So pop your questions in the comments. They don't have to be about just today's topic. Maybe there's some equipment things, maybe
anything.
Maybe you want some excuse not to see your grandma. Or something like that. But let us know in the comments, and then we're going to do a Q&A video in the future as well. Thanks a lot for watching.